Yes, recording in progress. Recording. Um,
Okay, so
and I am a child. Um, well, I'll just kind of go through this slowly, and then you'll see when my finger tries to misfinger, if you would, the
okay,
G, um, and you'll see. Um, okay. Right there. Oh, that part I don't have.
yeah,
That's very rough, but
that's okay. But I think I think you have a good idea of where all the moves go.
yeah,
Um, yeah, and just a matter of connecting them. I think
yeah,
it looks like it's making sense in your head. Um, let
yeah,
me let me get the music back up because I remember when I looked at that last week, I was surprised how complicated it was,
yeah,
as I'm sure you remember now.
yeah, yeah. And the first part though, that part I got pretty firmly in my mind, I think, except right there.
Yeah. Okay, do that all again. Take it from the beginning one more time.
Okay. I I can't stop doing that. Anyway,
Yeah. Um, okay, so the D major 7 and the G chord both start with a bass note, right?
right, right.
But the
Yeah.
D
Both.
doesn't, right? So the D is a strum right on that first beat.
D's a strum on the first beat. It's a hammer on,
Yeah.
the hammer on, and so yeah. Let me try and go through to that point there again. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I think what you have to do to make that hammer on happen on the D is let go of those two the little up down that happened just before it.
Yeah.
Those should just be open. Don't try to hold those two that note that chord down any longer.
Oh, okay.
So buy yourself a little more time to get to the D sooner. Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, except when you go to that D, only two fingers on. Make
Two
sure
fingers. Yeah.
you don't put the
I
whole
did.
thing down.
Yeah, I did do the hammer on. Yeah.
So try to get to that D and just strum it, but make sure the first string is open. Don't even think about doing the hammer on. Just
Okay.
get the D chord with the open E right on that strum.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, strum that. No, just strum that one. I just want you to hear it. Okay, that's the sound you're looking for. Right on that down after the up down after the ones we just made open.
Right.
Right? And so you can see that right there when you were trying to process the put a D down without your second finger, it was like, wait, this is not happening. It's like I don't,
Yeah.
so you got to think of that almost like as a new chord. It's just two fingers. It's your first and third finger.
Right.
Yeah,
See,
yeah. So you gotta get that in your head as that's where you're going. Oh, and notice your third finger is already on that string.
it's already here.
So
Yeah.
so we don't really need to let go of the whole thing. It's okay if that finger stays in even during that up down that I just said is going to be open. It's really not going to be open. Don't let go of your third finger.
Yeah. Just
Yeah.
come.
was close. You just had to strum it bigger.
Yeah.
Except I think
I gotta keep,
you had the whole D on.
yeah, I came in too quick there.
Yeah. So again, leave that
Yeah.
string open.
Yeah, it's okay. Okay. Um,
Yeah. That's what's going to happen just before you do the hammer on.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is that
Now that time the little strokes before that we talked about being open didn't really come out very clear, but you kept moving through them. It doesn't even matter if you hit those notes. You know, the important thing is to get to that D with the open note and get the hammer on at the right time.
yeah.
So those last two strokes are really incidental. The up down that was happening. You know,
Right. I'm just yeah, I'm okay. But I gotta
keep
keep the
moving.
time, gotta keep the movement going, or else not gonna hit this guy
Right.
correctly. Um, okay, let me try that again.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was great.
I got ahead of myself there. Oop.
Hung on a little too long.
Yeah, I didn't move it.
Yeah. That was great. Yeah. Try it from the beginning now. See if you can do the measure before too and get that to still connect.
Yeah. Okay. No, I see. I hit him.
That's pretty close though, you know. And you can see if you do the more isolated part that we did just a minute ago more times and then try to stretch it out and add the beginning, it'll all come together. I think you got it
Yeah.
well on its way.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but go ahead, yeah, try it again.
Let me do one more time here.
Maybe a little slower too. Pretty close.
I still put too much into the incidental after this hammer on.
Yeah.
It's this yeah it's
Right, those are the accents.
yeah the accents I yeah I want to play those for some reason.
You know what else? One more little weird thing is happening. I think when you go from the first chord to the second one,
Yeah,
you end up taking your second finger off and then putting it back down. I think because you take your first finger off to do a hammer on,
right.
you're taking your second finger off with it, and then sometimes it takes a second for that to get resituated, even though it stays. It should. So when you move down, you should try to keep those two notes on,
Right.
right?
You're keeping time for me up there. I don't know if you can hear that.
Yeah. Close. That's okay.
Got close, but eliminate the accents.
Yeah, the timing on the last couple notes, that's not three separate downs. Da da da. I think you're hearing something there that is really just a down and an up. Da da. Da. There's like if you look at the last quarter note of the second measure,
Yeah.
notice we got 2/16 and an eighth. So what looks like the open first string and then the third fret of the second string really are just consecutive strokes, a down and an up. So it ends with like down, up, down, and this is incidental too. Like so, you don't really need to clearly enunciate those three notes. It should sound a little more. Let me try this once. See, you barely heard what happened on the last beat of that D. So, but the important part, I guess, about that last D is that the note you hammered on comes back off, right? We hear an open E in there at the end, but you don't have to hear this. Like that's exactly what's in the tab. It looks like it'd be a down on the E,
Yeah.
an up on the D, and then a down kind of like in the middle.
Yeah.
And that could really just be just down, up, down across like all the notes. It doesn't have to be that, like that's too specific.
Okay.
Okay. But I think you're hearing that almost as, I think you're hearing like three downs in there when there's really only two. It's just a quarter note.
Okay.
After the hammer on.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you go from that D and then that space to the G.
Mm-hmm.
So my finger wants to do that.
Oh, yeah.
That ends up goofing me up somehow. So it really should. I really should be going here, right?
Yeah, you really have to get your that hammer-on stuff. It could really go either way, but I think you're better off making sure your third finger gets down to that G.
Because then the following, the hammer-on, need to do those. Yeah, with this finger.
Yeah, and the G.
That, I can't.
So yeah, so it could be done with those fingers. I mean, you could really have your second finger play the G and then do those hammer-ons with your first finger. I kind of recommend against it. I think it's better to be consistent with that G the way you would normally play a G, right? And then can you do that hammer-on from the A to the B? You really want to keep the G on the whole time. Because you got to come back to the low G at the end. Right? So you really want, and this is where your third finger kind of has to be way over the edge of the guitar to make sure that it doesn't kill the A.
Yes.
Right? If you put it right on your fingertip, you'll kill it.
Yeah.
So you got to get used to that fingering for G. Yeah, it's like overreach it,
Yeah. So.
Oh, close.
That's what it is. No.
That's enough.
It's up, yeah.
Yeah.
Down, down, up, up.
Yeah. And
Down,
when
down.
you're down, then there's a down on the last G at the end.
And then this. Yeah. Yeah.
And that doesn't follow just hitting the bass note, right? You hit the bass and then you've got a few strums in there before you do that hammer on.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
the way you were practicing it right there doesn't exactly work that way. You don't hit the G just before you do the hammer on.
Right. Oh, right, 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 right.
Oh, really close, yeah.
Yeah.
You hearing the timing of that?
Okay.
Oh, that was it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Here, I'm gonna try that whole sequence there. See if I can. Um, yeah. See,
Again, bigger.
no. See, yeah.
Oh,
I
so
think that's, what my mind is thinking is that we're playing.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's what my mind is thinking, and going from D to C here, as opposed to.
Oh, great. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Let me just try it here. What? Well, I sort of got this. The D thing's still messed up. Let me try that again.
Okay. And then what happens there on the D? So the last
Uh,
D, it's pretty easy.
After this,
Yeah.
then it goes. Then it's actually I think it's. Let's see. It gets to if it gets to a hammer on the third beat, I think.
Right.
Uh,
Okay, so the first beat is really easy. What do you see on the first beat?
oh, it's just D. It's open D.
Yeah, and the next, then you have a strum on the and, right? A down note, right? Because it's 2/8 notes.
Oh,
And then you hit another bass note, and then a couple ups. See if you can right, but open. Right, but there's a break between those two ups. There's a down, missing down, right? Because the second, so the timing there of that second beat, we've got a 16th and an eighth and another 16th,
right. Good.
right?
Yeah. So it has to go. No, it has to go.
Not quite. So is the last stroke going to be a down or an up?
Down.
No.
It's two ups. Oh, okay.
See why?
Well, because it's on the and of two.
Okay, so we have a 16th on the first part of two, right?
Right. Oh, yeah, yeah. This one.
And that's why the next one's an up because
Yeah.
but the next one's an eighth. Right. Okay. Except now, but that was too fast. The two ups are not that quick together. Got to get to the first up a little quicker. There, that was the right rhythm. Yeah, 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 yeah. Make sense?
Yeah, so the whole sequence there oh is oh,
Yeah.
right.
Yep. Yep. Perfect. Yeah. You
And then
got
I
it.
just okay.
Yeah. Um, so to just kind of review, every quarter, because we're playing in double time, because we got 16th notes,
Yeah,
every quarter note has four strokes in it,
right,
right?
right,
And if you had four sixteenths in there, it would just be down, up,
right,
right? And that second down is actually on the and of the beat,
right.
right? And so there are a few other ways then that those four strokes can be subdivided or broken up. It could be just two eighth notes, which would mean it's two downs.
Right.
It could be, we saw an earlier spot where it was two sixteenths and an eighth.
Right.
And so how would the picking work on that?
Two sixteenths and an eighth would be down, up, down.
Right. And so the missing stroke there is the fourth stroke, the up.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, it could be an eighth and two sixteenths.
It'd be down, down, up.
Right. And this one is the other possibility of having two sixteenths and an eighth, where the eighth is in the middle.
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah.
And that means the missing stroke is the down on the and.
Okay. So down on the and oh yeah. This okay. It's that
And now the missing down before the last sixteenth. That's the next beat. That's the quarter note that comes after.
oh right. It's
Except an up. Yeah. Yeah. So let me do that one more time. So if we have all four sixteenths, it's very simple. We have two downs. I mean,
right.
sorry, down, up, down, up. If we have two eighths, it's real simple. That's two downs, right?
Hmm.
But there are three different ways we could have two sixteenths and an eighth.
Hmm.
It could be the two sixteenths first and then the eighth. I'll do them this way.
Down, up, down.
Right. Or the eighth first and then the two sixteenths.
Down, down, up,
Or the eighth can be in the middle.
down, up, up.
Right. So if basically we have an offbeat eighth note there, that's an eighth note that isn't a down. Okay, and that's what we're looking at there.
Yeah. So that little triplet. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Um, anyway, I think you got it. I think you got the math at least, and
Yeah.
and then it's just a matter of making sure that your right hand doesn't stop and gets all those strokes at the right time.
At the right time. Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
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 Um, okay. So the the biggest transition challenge here remains for me. I got to work that fourth D measure there. I have to work through, but the biggest transition is getting from the G6.
Yeah.
And that is that that's a
Yeah.
down.
So right after the hammer on, there's another down.
Yeah, that's a down.
Right, because you have the 2/16 and the eighth,
Yeah,
and now just another 2/16 and an eighth. Yeah, and the very last, now you still have like one more down. Right.
yeah,
And even though that down looks like it still has part of the D chord on,
right.
you could really let go of everything here. And it could just be open string so that you get right on your way to getting that G in the bass. Almost. The picking wasn't exact. Yeah. Not quite. Do that again. Open though.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The double hammer-on thing that happens on the G chord is kind of interesting because it's a sequence of three notes: the hammer-on from A to B, and then the D, and then the same sequence, then the same three notes. But this time it starts a 16th note earlier, and that's why it's reversed, right?
Turn over. Yeah.
So you got to get used to hearing not this. That's the exact same thing starting on each beat,
Right.
right? And so that second iteration of those same three notes is essentially upside down from the first iteration
Right.
because it started. So we have this, right? And
Right.
so you got to get used to hearing it like that. That it's that you know, and it seems more logical and normal that you'd hear that, which is not what's So it's a lot more complicated
Right.
than well, not a lot more complicated, but it's just different, and it sounds so cool that way to hear it, to hear it upside down again from the first time.
Yeah, and it's again, it's right in the stroke as long as you don't keep
Right.
don't pause at at the down after on the hammer on at the open D after the hammer on there.
Yeah, and a lot of people would have a tendency to try to do that with the right timing and do them all as downs, but which
Yeah.
messes up your whole hand. And there are a lot of people that play, and a lot of teachers that don't really push this thing of keep the rhythm, keep the downs and the ups like, sacred. In,
Right.
in spite of the fact that sometimes it makes it more difficult or more cumbersome maybe than it would be otherwise. But that's just I really preach this whole thing of the rhythm is here. Now, there are times that you don't do that. There, like where we do what I call, other people use this term differently, but cross picking, where you're not keeping a steady flow of downs and ups going. You're going in the direction of the next note.
Okay.
So, as a matter of fact, when I teach people "Don't Fear the Reaper," I use this as an example to learn this style, right? Of always alternating, keeping this going, right? In
Right.
spite of the fact that you got to try to get it fast if you want to get at the speed of the album. Buck Dharma, the guitar player who wrote this and is in Blue Oyster Cult, does not do it that way. He does it cross picking, where he goes down, 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 and the last note is up so he goes in the direction of the next note. the problem with as people are learning the guitar is it's really easy if you try to do that first. It could easily sound like this. It's like, oh, you got to understand rhythm first,
Right.
and that's why this is the
Right.
path I take with
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and when you watch Neil Young, I mean, he never I've never seen him do any cross picking stuff.
Yeah.
You usually use that in something that's faster, and it's more, and so a lot of people call it economy picking too, meaning it's more economical. You're moving your hand less because
Yeah.
you're always going in the direction of the next string. But until you have a really really solid sense of time, and that's dangerous.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
So, but in like in Brew in Don't the Reaper
uh-huh.
song, does he do the entire song cross picking, or is it just
Every time he's picking out that riff, yeah.
that rip? Yeah.
Now, and it's kind of the same thing when I teach people, when people are working on leads, I want them to do the same thing. Keep your hand moving here. Like you can see, I was keeping rhythm here the whole time I was messing through with that.
Yeah.
And a lot of really good lead players don't do that. They might be. But even that, you could hear that wasn't rhythmically as clear
Right.
as what you just saw me do a minute ago.
Yeah.
Um, so anyway, there are different schools of thought on that among music teachers, I think. But I think it's the best way to learn first, and then one of the songs. Did we work on From the Beginning, the Emerson, Lake and Palmer song? That's this one.
I know the song for sure.
So we've never talked about that, I guess, huh?
We never done that. No. 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 No.
Okay, well, I don't want to distract you too much yet, but I'll give you a little story on that song because it's one that I think everybody needs to learn to play sometime in their musical career.
Yeah.
It does just about everything. It has cross picking in it. It has alternating picking in it. It has palm muting, hitting these bass notes and muting them.
Yeah.
It immediately goes into an alternate picking part. And in the introduction, there's a part that I have people do with cross picking. It opens up with this kind of little spacey guitar part. Then goes into a 6-note pattern that I have people do cross picking, meaning it's going to go down, 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 up, up, up. Then the song starts. Anyway, it's one of the greatest acoustic guitar songs of all time because it has all these different elements in it that if you want to get distracted with that and start looking at my lesson on it or something, you're welcome to. But it's you might want to listen to the song again a little bit. But it's Emerson, Lake and Palmer. I don't know if you listened to them much in the early '70s when you were like starting to get into military and things like that. But they were. Every one of their albums had like one really cool acoustic guitar song on it, and the rest of it was mostly keyboard pyrotechnics of Keith Emerson's.
Yeah.
And so even the first album, and this pissed Emerson off to no end because they went to all this trouble to make this first album that had all this keyboard wizardry and stuff like that. And he comes over to the United States because they're about to do a tour here, and he realizes that what is popular here is Greg Lake's acoustic ballad that he absolutely hated. He had white horses and ladies. Matter of fact, he didn't even want to put it on the album. He said there's no room for that. And this is a song Lake wrote when he was like a teenager.
Yeah.
And so they had pretty much finished the album in England, and they were like 5 minutes short. It's like we can't put it out. It's only 30 minutes long or something like that. And so while Emerson was away at lunch Lake recorded this tune, played all the instruments. I mean, Lake and Carl Palmer did it. Played three or four guitar parts and a bass part. And by the time Emerson got back, it was like ready for a solo. And he said, oh shit, I'll do something. And so he made up a solo. So it ends with a kind of cool synthesizer solo.
Right.
Oh no, that's the one from.
Oh yeah, no, I can hear it. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah.
that was like one of the first things we ever heard over here on the Moog synthesizer. And it's like, wow, that is like so cool. And anyhow, but it distressed Keith to no end that that's why they became famous here, and they stayed with that pattern. Pretty much every one of their albums had one acoustic song of Lake's that got a lot of airplay over here. Luckily for Emerson, FM radio was just taken off too, and that's who played the other stuff. But AM radio wouldn't touch any of the other tunes, but they would play Greg Lake's ones. He had another one a little bit later called "Still You Turn Me On." You wanna be the cup, da 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 da. You wanna play some magic on my guitar. Anyway, anyway, that was another one called "Still You Turn Me On," and what else did he have on Tarkus? Oh, on the second album, they didn't have any acoustic stuff. Anyway, but those two tunes, Lucky Man, three tunes that I think are really good guitar tunes. Lucky Man and From the Beginning, the one we just talked about, which is on their fourth album. And then Still You Turn Me On. And Lake he's really good with a pick and really fast with a pick.
Yeah.
In their concerts, he would always do like one set where he would play just one or two of his acoustic songs, but throughout most of it, he's playing the bass and singing. So on all their other, that was basically they really rarely had guitar stuff in the tunes. But
So whatever happened to those guys after the '70s?
they made a few too many albums. They, like most progressive bands, they didn't survive punk and disco well at all. And so they went off. They made some solo albums. Emerson made a great Christmas album. If you haven't, he was really heavily involved in classical stuff. So his two of my favorite Christmas albums are Keith Emerson's and Jethro Tull's. Ian Anderson has a great Christmas album too, that you might check out online and see. But they kept getting back together and doing family reunion concerts and things like that. Unfortunately, they both died about 3 or 4 years ago. Carl Palmer, the drummer, is still alive, but Emerson, in the last few years of his life, was having physical problems, arthritis problems or something, and he couldn't play at the level that he'd been able to do for all these years, and he committed suicide. He killed himself in Los Angeles about 6 or 7 years ago, and just because he figured, if I can't play music, I don't need to be here. And then Lake died the same year. I think the two of them died the same year of cancer.
Oh,
Yeah, so it kind of, it's hard to believe that all this, is that far in the past.
tragedy of the talented. That's huh.
Yeah,
Huh.
yeah,
Well, I think I'm going to take a look at the Emerson Lincoln Palmer, but I Am a Child is the project of the
yeah.
month here.
No, you're
Um,
doing great with it. This is so
and I
cool.
think, yeah, I have to go back and I gotta convince myself of those, or not, just make sure that I really understand those two things here, all the, kind of where I'm supposed to be in those, in the up and downs, but also how to not how to not play the incidental transition here. The Yeah,
Yeah.
I see it there, but for whatever I have to unteach myself to get rid of that somehow.
This is always a problem I have when I'm writing out when I'm writing out tablature to something like that, because you really can't show the emphasis that every single note gets in something like this. You can put accent marks over certain places, but there people speculated that in a musical score, there's so little, there's so much stuff that the music actually can't tell you. That just the dots on the page can't tell you, what kind of emphasis to hit with that, how blurry. Anyway, and people have experimented or said, hey, maybe what we need is like a color coded system or a grayscale of notes. Notes that are black are really important, and as they get lighter, they're less important.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
but that's where really you could only learn that from, or you can only figure it out from hearing somebody else play it. And then and sometimes when you say, wow, I'm doing exactly what Neil's doing, but it doesn't sound the same. It's not nearly as musical as what he does, or something. And then um, then you listen to him and you say, oh man, some of those notes that I'm going to a lot of trouble to get, I can barely hear them when he plays them. They're like, I'm not even sure they're there.
Yeah.
So
The linked item here, though, is that even in this particular example, after the hammer on, if keep if I keep moving here, and if I keep moving and keep everything in time, I can learn to subtract that. I mean, just in terms of the emphasis.
yeah,
Yeah, and that's what that's what sort of is going to link it for me. I can in my mind I'll make those less important.
yeah,
Uh, I can do that, and those too, those after the D on the way to the G, where I have to get the G with this, as opposed to this.
right.
After, after,
Yeah, it's a different song, right?
yeah. So okay, well that's I got plenty to do here.
Have you started? Do you strum through the chords to the vocal parts of the song? Have you tried any of that?
I've a little bit. I haven't actually done much there. I mean, think about let's see, in the verse here.
What I would almost do is maybe like each chord could kind of start with a bass. Oh, you don't want to start with a bass note. You want to hear that D minor chord right really big at the beginning because we've just played this whole intro that's all in D. Then the song starts on D minor. So you come out of this, and now you want to hear this. I am a child, I last a while. But on most of the rest of those chords, I would start with a bass note. After you've kind of like broadcast the D minor.
Yeah.
But now let's see. Now something really cool. Right when it gets to the E minor, what you kind of hear Neil do.
Yeah.
So all those other chords, like I, hit a bass note first and then just keep strumming through them.
Yeah.
When he gets to the E minor, that's kind of the end of a vocal phrase. So you hear him sing, "I am a child, I last a while. You can't conceive of the pleasure in my smile." So there we almost want that strung from Heart of Gold, like two bass notes and then a big. Does it say E minor 7 or E minor in the music there?
E minor 7.
Okay, good. So that's what you want to hear there is this. And that's kind of like the end of that sentence.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then the whole thing starts again, right? You hold my hand. Oh, I also sometimes put a passing bass note. Yeah, do I have a B in the bass between the C and the A minor?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So that would be late. It'd be like on the fourth beat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Right? Is the next line the same? You hold my hand, rough up my hair. It's lots of fun to have you there. And that's where it changes modes.
Yeah.
Right, so on the word there, and now it goes into a progression that is like the intro.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
it's kind of interesting that he's in two different keys here. That whole vocal section goes into D minor,
Right.
and then this whole part becomes I gave to you, now you give to me. I'd like to know what you've learned. The sky is blue. Now it kind of goes back into the minor chords. We hear the A minor. What is the color to C? I think right. When black is firm. And back to A minor. What is the color? And back to D major. I think. Yeah.
And in the chorus, when you're coming down from the well, and then the D is there. It's a quick walk down to that G, right?
Yeah. It's not quick. I mean, it's a normal like we have two. We're like it depends on whether we're talking about this as one measure or two. And because it's according to the way I have the intro, it's one measure, but we have a lot of half measure changes then if we want to think of
Yes.
it that way, right?
Yeah.
And so we do have this chord for 4 quarter notes, 1, 2, 3, 4. This one for only 2, and this one for 2. And so we don't have a lot of time. We only have 4 downs in there on the D
Yeah.
going to the G. And so what I'd really be doing, what I'd probably have in the music, is it's really a walk up to the G. It's from E to F sharp to G.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So you have the equivalent of 2 downs on the D, 1, 2, and on 3 and 4. Now I'm counting eighth notes, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1.
Yeah.
Got it? You think?
I got it. So we're changing keys. Just one little thing here. You said we're changing modes.
Yeah.
So
So
we're going from a minor key, which is the D. We're going from D minor, right?
yeah.
To and which is a which let's see. Try to remember which one it is.
Well, what would it be? What major key would it be related to? Is that what you're trying to? Where you're going?
No, I'm just going. I'm going for nomenclature.
Oh, okay.
I'm going for nomenclature because the major key is I can't remember the word.
Okay, so the opening to this is in D major, means it's using chords out of a D major scale, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And um, and then when the vocal part starts, it changes to D minor. So I'm not sure which word you're looking for.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I was going. I was trying to remember the terminology for the mode for major
Yeah, that's what I
scale.
thought. Okay, so so there are, as far as we're concerned, there are other modes besides major and minor, right? And there are two really important ones besides major and minor, or two common ones: Dorian and Mixolydian.
Right. Okay.
And major and minor in that same terminology, major is called Ionian,
I know.
and minor is called Aeolian. So again, we rarely use those terms because they've kind of been redefined as major and minor.
Okay.
But we still use the terms Dorian and Mixolydian and the other three occasionally to refer to other modes. Now in this case, so when we say it's changed keys, it's almost the same thing as saying it's changed modes. It's gone from the major mode to the minor mode, starting on the same note, which is unusual because, and we call that a parallel. So we call D major and D minor parallel keys because they have the same tonic, the same note as the starting point.
Same number. Same number one.
Right, same number one, as opposed to relative major and minor. And that's where we're talking about a major key has a different minor key that is all the same notes.
Same notes.
But
It's E and A minor.
exactly, those are relative keys.
Yes.
And
Okay.
A minor and A major would be parallel keys.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so a song could also, like, we talked a little bit about John Prine, Angel from Montgomery.
Yeah.
It only uses 3 chords and the first part it's chords 1, 4, and 5 in the key of G. and then it changes to 1, 4, and 5 out of the key of C, but it still treats G as home. That means it's in the Mixolydian mode. It's in the mode that's treating 5 of the major scale as 1.
Okay.
When you treat 6 of the major scale as 1, you're in the minor key, the relative minor key.
Uh-huh.
When you treat 5 as 1, you're in the relative Mixolydian key.
Okay.
Anyway, so Angel from Montgomery changes from the major mode to the Mixolydian mode parallel, because it stays, G is still the tonic. G is still 1.
Okay.
Now it's using G and F and C.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Enough
Yeah.
swimming in theory for today?
I got that. Good, good. Okay. I'll be I think around on the 20, let's see.
The 22nd or so? 23rd?
Yeah,
Okay.
23rd Thursday. Yeah, the 23rd. I'll be up there, but
Okay. I think
yeah.
that should work for me too. If not, we'll let you know. I'll let you know. But I think everything should be normal up until about that day. I think. Then the next day things probably get a little crazy.
Okay. Well, if it, just let me know. I'll just check in with you earlier in the
Yeah,
week.
yeah. We can touch base Tuesday or Wednesday. But I think, or let's kind of confirm Wednesday. But I'm pretty sure it should be fine.
Okay. Are we on Wednesday today? Or are we
No,
on
today's Thursday.
Thursday? So
Yeah.
next week we should target Wednesday. So
Oh
you
no,
said.
I was just saying let's confirm on Wednesday about
Mhm.
Thursday. If yeah, yeah.
Got it.
We'll
Got
shoot
it.
for next
Okay.
Thursday.
Okay.
Okay.